Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Nothing.
We have a lovely new European member with us today named Renee. And Renee
Well,
has joined us
hello.
on Discord.
Welcome, Renee.
Well, hello there, Renee. How are you?
I'm very excited to have more Europeans.
I love it.
That's such an abrupt beginning. I forgot about that.
What always confused me is Rory's outfit. Like, why are you wearing that in summer?
I always wanted to know where the pool came from.
Right? When did Stars Hollow get a
Her
pool?
outfit is the only thing that confuses you, Kendra. This entire episode confuses
it
me.
is.
We've known from past episodes that there's a swimming pool there. We just don't know where.
I don't ever remember them talking about a pool in Stars Hollow before.
Yeah,
Actually, wait. Kirk says he jumped into the pool because he thought he was on fire.
yes.
I take it.
Shame on you, Sherry. Shame.
But at least they realized it.
I know. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't in the last episode she literally ended with
Yeah.
Yeah, I make note of the book that Lorelai is reading.
What is the book?
Wild.
Wild. I actually have it sitting on my dresser.
Oh, Wild, the book that the movie Wild is based on?
Yes,
Correct.
but it's
Yes.
the book.
Look who's here!
Hey! What? That was a funny joke.
That was a funny great joke.
That was a really good. That was like a classic.
I know. She's so smart. She didn't get it. I didn't like. Why didn't she?
Completely over her head.
I'm not sure I completely believe that April does not know Annie Hall, but that's all right.
No, I do because she doesn't watch TV.
She only watches silent German films.
Yeah, but I mean, you see that they play that at art house movie theaters still.
Not so much anymore. They because Woody Allen's kind of controversial.
Oh, right. That's true.
That's me.
Same.
That's totally me too.
True.
Oh my gosh, this show! I was really into this show.
I loved this show.
I loved the return. It didn't really quite know what to do at the very end, or well, in its second season. I don't know if they thought it was going to be the end.
What is the show?
What's up?
What's the show they were watching?
It was called The Returned. It was a French show about a town.
Okay, I remember that.
That hat gives it away. It's so funny because she's so totally opposite from her character in Switch.
It's so awkward how they're sitting together on that bench.
I know this whole scene it just feels weird because the last time we saw them interact, April was like 12.
I
I've
love
told
this scene.
April as an actress and other stuff. I just can't. I never look them up because I don't want spoilers. So I'm just trying to figure it out.
Did you hear her say, "Oh my god, I just got"?
The German cinema trope is kind of not. It's a little weird.
Still not letting Lorelai help him with April.
Yeah, that's weird. Seems touchy about that.
But he
Yeah.
always considered Rory was part of his.
And Lorelai lets him help with Rory. I imagine moving.
But you know what? But you know what? I actually appreciate that they've held on to that part of his personality. That feels more realistic to me. That like it's just that's just a thing. That's just a thing about Luke. He just can't really get over that part.
I think
And somehow they've made it work, regardless.
My sister is like that. She married a man like 15 years ago and she had 2 kids and she will not allow him to contribute financially because they're not his. She pays for everything and works to do it. It's just very important to her. And he's a great father to them, but she didn't want him to feel burdened and she's just held on to it.
Yeah.
And it
It
works.
it, it makes sense to me. I get it.
I hate the storyline so much.
Me too.
Well, the fact she like almost seems ticked that his fiance is.
Yeah, she seems so entitled.
Yes, she's very entitled that he's hers and it's her space.
Can somebody give Kaylee a timestamp? I'm watching on my iPad. It doesn't give it to me.
8:23.
And the fact she's like saying I'm your geisha, it's like she's put herself in that position.
Is that
Yeah,
the
I
first
know.
time
But
she
that's like
recognized it? Like,
but I also feel like that also sort of tracks with Rory. Like Rory did some of that in the original series too.
Oh, Petal.
but she was 16 at that time. She's
Yeah, I know.
in her
She certainly
30s
yeah,
now.
yeah, she certainly has not she's not um matured in that regard for sure.
Sad, Bootsy. Ouch.
My town has the 30-something gang.
We have it here too. It exists. It's a real.
To me, Rory's outfit is really odd again here.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. It doesn't feel like a Rory outfit.
Taylor still got a sweater on.
Even Lorelai's hair seems odd.
Who are the people sitting next to Taylor there? I've never seen these faces before in my life.
And notice Miss Patty's not there. She's usually standing up, sitting up at the front with him during town hall meetings.
Hey, that was Carole King.
Yep.
Yeah, she's the one who
Yeah,
also
she's in
said,
this one.
"Welcome back."
I used to live in Brooklyn.
He looks like he belongs in a 30-something gang.
Tom looks so different without the beard.
Hey. Wait a second. Was that the guy who plays like Michelle's arch nemesis in that one episode?
No, that's not Tobin.
Okay.
The actor's name is Sam Pankey. He's like Lauren's best friend in real life. Tobin was Bruce McCullough.
That is an odd outfit for Rory.
She
Yeah,
had just had a
not
baby
pretty at
in
all.
real life, so I wonder if they were trying to dress her to like not look like she had just given birth like right before this.
But she doesn't. But in the last episodes, I would say she does look more like what she wears.
I don't know the order in which they filmed them
Yeah,
though.
maybe.
She feels the most off for me out of everybody in A Year in the Life.
Maybe she went into her mom's closet.
I love this bit that they
I definitely prefer the tie-dye on her.
This is cringy for me.
Yeah, same.
What's cringy?
Just wait. It's gonna get super cringy.
The whole thing is cringy.
I agree.
There's certain parts of this episode I love, but most of it just feels totally not.
I mean, the two boys holding the umbrellas is super creepy.
Yep.
The headphones on the neck is a really good costume choice.
To me, the whole I'm not back running joke feels awkward, like the I forget Paul is my boyfriend.
The cringy part was they refer to him earlier as back fat Pat.
Back
That's
fat
just
Pat. Yeah, I heard that.
cringy. Ugh.
You see, I completely agree that it's cringy, but I also do think it's in keeping with these two because they always come to
Yes.
other
Yeah,
people's
they
parties.
yes,
I
they
found the
always talked
cringiest
about.
part of that scene the Southern Bells with the two kids with the sun umbrellas.
And the
Oh,
kids
this
are
is my
looking at the
favorite.
other kids.
Rory's outfit's odd to me here too.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like Rory.
Right.
Yeah, this part I get because they're kind of like dressed up and they're kind of styling something.
I love Rory's outfit here.
So
I
do
like
I.
it, but
Me too.
Rory doesn't wear headbands like that.
I think it's the whole thing, the cover up, the shorts underneath, it's the whole look combined and it's the character of Rory. I like the outfit and Rory, but it's just an odd choice.
I think that dress is an odd choice on Lorelai too.
I love that the therapist is auditioning. I
Yep.
love that little detail.
But look who's
Yeah,
auditioning in the background. Look who that is.
Who is that?
Yay!
Sutton
Sutton
Foster.
Foster.
Oh, that's Sutton Foster
Yeah,
from
Bunhead.
Bunheads.
And younger too.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. She's really good and younger.
Yes.
I saw it also.
I did as well.
I have the soundtrack floating around here, and a water bottle that I stole from.
I saw Sutton
So
Foster in the city the other night being interviewed by Amy Sherman Palladino, and it was amazing at the 92nd Street Y.
I
Yeah,
totally would have went with you.
that looked so much fun.
It was so cool.
oh my goodness, that's awesome.
She's amazing.
I think
That's
she's
awesome because they knew that they were going to use her in a musical and cast her as the therapist because up until then you have no idea. So this is the musical episode. I do know that there's a musical in this because I've met
Correct.
I
Yes.
met the actor who plays the director that we just saw, the White Walker. I met him at FanFest, so I did know that there was a musical. I don't really know much about it, but I have heard that people there's controversy as to whether or not it's a welcomed thing in this.
People like love it or hate it,
Yeah,
basically.
that's
I
what I was
mean,
It
gonna say.
grew on me. I like it.
The
I hate it.
musical is the reason this is my favorite episode of the revival. It's so Taylor.
Yeah, the first time I saw it, I hated it. Every other time since, the more I watch it, the more I love
my opinion is I can't hate watching Sutton Foster sing for 10 minutes. So,
it. And her ex-husband.
yes, the two of them. It's just you can't hate that no matter what the content is.
I adore Christian. He's amazing.
Yeah, I love him too.
I love these two characters. They're just so. Special little Muppets.
I like how his suit's even more fitted, like with the tie.
Get even better.
I like Lorelai's shirt.
Yeah,
Me too.
it's beautiful.
The secret bar.
Where's the secret bar? Where is that?
Oh, this is so cute.
This is it.
It's like a street little corner where you sit
Yeah.
down.
I'm trying to place it
Oh,
on the stat.
gotcha.
Looks like a pop-up cafe. So cool.
Did they
Hey,
use
that's Gina. That's my friend Gina. That was Sean's girlfriend at the time.
the actress or not the actress, the
Hmm.
waiter?
Yeah, the waitress.
I'm wondering, did they use the same street that they used for like Rory and Dean's little kind of secret hookup, and
Right
then
next to the
Lane and Zach
flower
breaking
shop.
up?
Yeah, I think that's where it is because you'll
Yeah,
they kind of show it later.
I'm trying to look at the background to get a sense for where that is. It's hard for me to place.
I love how he really wants to stay.
I think Frederick ordered one.
What is happening? Oh, there's a car. Or wait, what's going on?
Tanya,
Yeah,
see,
because
it's right next to the bookstore.
it's right next to the bookstore. So, yeah, because that was because in one of the last episodes they were talking about the secret bar at the town hall meeting, and Taylor didn't know about it. So this is the secret bar they were talking about.
Correct.
Yeah, it's a secret, so he's the
Yep.
only one that doesn't know about it.
Aw, I'm gonna cry.
I love their relationship.
Look at that computer. It's floppy. It's a floppy.
Yeah, that's ancient. And I still have some floppy disks floating around in the zip drive. It's crazy.
Same.
That seems like that has always been there. Get some of those pool boys to come out and push some boxes around and away.
And just like when the whole thing with Suki being on bed rest, Luke is stuck working in the night in
Yeah, she doesn't seem to have a backup.
They should have brought Alan.
I love this part too.
This is a very fun scene.
Lorelai holding those papers, her smile was so intense. Like, I want to super deliver these papers. She abandoned Luke in her kitchen. Like, bye, I gotta go do this.
One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you.
Here
There they
you
are.
go.
What did I say? Get those pool boys. Let's give them $20.
I love that the cat shop is still there.
I had to distribute our university newspaper, and sometimes it was like this. It was just sheer chaos.
A lot of brands there. Vita Coco, Heinz.
so
Hey,
much for you
Netflix
thinking that
budget.
they
Come
don't
on.
have it there.
Doyle!
Yes.
I love that Doyle's a regular reader of the Stars Hollow Gazette.
Oh my god.
The parents are just as bad.
Ugh.
I
Chill.
don't I don't get the 30 something gang. I'm that joke
They're
that joke has
weird.
gone straight over my head.
They're a cult.
They're just way excited and I don't know. Something.
Are they the 30 something gang because they're in their 30s, or are they 30 something gang
Their
because they like the
30s,
show
They're in
30
their
they're,
something?
30s
they're
and they're
30s and
doing
they living
nothing.
at home
Yeah, Babette
with
said at the meeting they were out in the real
Oh,
world, got jobs, and then the world spat them out, just like Rory.
got it.
But of course, Rory thinks that doesn't apply to her, even though
Yep.
it's like questionable of how different is she than anyone else.
Rory did start.
Okay, got it. So she's technically part of the 30 something gang, or should be.
Well,
Yeah, that's
she's
why they're so eager to see her.
one of those kids.
So why are they so tired? Because like Star Solo is really not that.
My
They
college
probably have to
campus
go.
wasn't very big, and I had to distribute the newspapers, and it's just exhausting.
The worst part is none of them took a big pile, so they have to keep going back to the newspaper office and back and forth.
That's what I was going to say, man.
Also, come on, it's them plus physical activity, two things that don't generally go together.
I love her pajama pants. I want those pants.
Those are good pants.
Have the cousins bring me coffee.
That's one of my favorite lines.
It's like only prostitutes have 3 glasses of wine at lunch.
Pass me a boa, sign me up.
Yes! This is my favorite
Oh
part!
boy.
Oh,
No,
aren't we all so
no.
excited?
Kendra, I'll be singing along with.
I'm totally excited for this.
Of
So
course you would.
so far it it works. I'm eager to see the actual end results, but so far it still feels in the style of Gilmore Girls for
I
me.
don't know if I can watch this.
Taylor was never a teacher. You never make anyone repeat more than 6 words at a time.
He looks exactly the same to me.
Who, Taylor?
Yeah, like he just doesn't seem like he's aged at all.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he's aged much. Some of them really look like they've aged, but he doesn't.
Gypsy looks exactly the same to me too.
Good
Gypsy
genes.
hard to.
Notice the robe is plaid. What happened to the black eye? It's gone.
You mean black eye or black guy?
Are there redwood trees on the East Coast?
No.
No.
Yeah, no.
That's an odd line.
All down.
It's a it's definitely a catchy tune though.
I
Yeah,
sing
let's
it
say
a
that.
lot.
I definitely wear the same face as Lorelai wears in this scene.
Oh
Utter
yeah.
Me
confusion.
too.
I
The
did
whole
the
time.
first
Yes, me
time, but now
too.
it's a smile on
She
my
said
face.
no.
I was into it.
Of course you would.
That song
No,
might be.
no, I wasn't. I was into it.
Casca fuck.
A balls joke, really?
Yes. There's a lot of drinking.
Every time he throws a glass at the wall, I just laugh so much.
I think that I'm in Kendra's camp on this.
Woohoo!
Just you wait.
I knew you would be.
But I think Lorelai would enjoy a train wreck of a show. Like,
No,
Well,
yeah, I agree with that
I
too.
think that Lorelai needs Rory for this.
Or Luke.
I think that the problem is that Lorelai doesn't have a partner in crime here in order to, like, sort of react
But
in real time
that's
to
all
this.
part of it. It's showing that she's like the only one like that is not on the same page as everyone else.
Yeah, but if she had like Luke or Rory with her, the scene would be very different.
I'm sorry, I'm not buying that the music store owner thinks this is a good show.
Oh, is the music owner, is Sophie there?
Yeah, Sophie, the Carol King is in the back right behind Lorelai, and she's like bopping her head along. I'm like, no, I don't think so. She has real musicals in her store.
John, you're gonna have to go and listen again to the lines of what these people are singing because it's pretty funny.
And it just keeps going.
I feel like I'm living in an alternate universe. It never ends.
That's really long.
It
But with
is way
these two
too
on
long.
stage, you never want it to end. These
Way
two are
longer than
Hence
it
fantastic.
why you
needs
can
to.
never get back this time in your life.
I think grand total of time they spend on the musical is 20 minutes or so.
It's longer than needed.
Oh my god, I forgot about this.
I love this.
Jesus Christ.
Whoa.
That
Yeah, I
show.
forgot about this too.
Oh, I've repressed this so hard.
He's a theater actor, here in Los Angeles that does like a lot of one man show, like this type of thing, like one man show, rap musical type stuff.
Lin Manuel had to deal with this.
I like that outfit though.
The fireplace went away finally.
Sutton's outfit is very Lorelai.
I was just
Yes.
gonna say it's season 5 Lorelai completely.
Tooting.
The dancers help. I don't know. They just make it better.
It's a 30-something group.
I literally
Is it?
wish I could rip my skin off. That's how much I'm cringing.
Nah, they can't be.
Brad just said to me, "Is this whole episode just a musical?"
It feels like it. Like, this is half the length of a normal episode. That's insane.
It feels like it's been an hour.
I
Everyone's
wish
really
it
bad.
was longer. I want to
I've been
see
waiting
this
3 years
entire
to
play.
see. I've been waiting 3 years to see Sutton Foster in Music Man, so I'll take it.
Yeah, me too.
Finally, January.
Yeah, I haven't decided when I want to go, but yeah.
I bought my tickets in like 2019.
I guess I'm just shocked that Sutton Foster would agree to even do this hot mess.
Well, both her and her husband were very popular on Broadway for the longest time.
Well, I think she's in on the joke. She knows it's a hot mess, so she's doing it like how she wants.
Yeah,
I
Christian
don't.
too.
And she has a very good, like, sense of humor in real life. She's great.
Oh, they're
And,
back. Oh,
and she's a huge Gilmore fan too.
Yes, she is. Yes.
I can't. I can't. It's more.
God, I would be so miserable. And then forced to stand like that? No. Is it
oh,
really?
thank God.
Is it gonna fake end again?
You're dethroned. There's a new Jew in town.
I don't buy Taylor being a writer. He hates artsy people.
Maybe his failure as a writer has turned him into the man we see today.
Oh, that's a good theory.
I love that Taylor knows who RZA and Busta Rhymes.
I love Nat. He's the one part I love about this. His facial expressions are perfect.
What is with the obsession with referencing kinky boots?
Yeah, I don't know,
The
but
only
this
But it's a
redeeming
great.
thing here
it
is the
because I
comments
gotta
of
be because I gotta be honest with you. I was actually kind of into the musical. This scene is a little hard for me to get through.
I
Yep.
love Kinky Boots, the movie. I loved it on Broadway. Just
The musical was hard, and this entire scene is hard, and I find it so hard to believe that everybody loves the show. I don't.
Me either.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say that I loved the show, but I really was in. I was into the ridiculousness of it.
I
It's
love this
so
part right
Taylor.
now.
Me too. I love it.
I do love this part.
See, now that could have gone on for 10 minutes too. I would have loved that.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's like we live in a world, in a Gilmore world, where Carole King doesn't exist. I find that so
Oh,
strange, you know?
she said she wrote the song, and that
I know. And they say it's
it's
not
not
catchy.
catchy.
Oh, it's just, it's so unbelievable.
Little
Yes, but it was
fun
also
fact.
unbelievable is that she hated the theme song, that they made her change it.
Little fun fact for the room: my aunt worked in the factory where they filmed Kinky Boots.
Neat.
Great movie.
What's so funny is that she's not inhaling. She was just sucking it into her mouth, and just like the big puff of smoke came out.
I've been informed that Kinky Boots won the Tony the year this came out, so maybe that's why the tons of references.
Yeah, that's why.
I miss the original DAR ladies.
Yeah, Tweenie Halper.
I love this outfit on Rory. She looks amazing.
I miss the English DAR.
Yes, absolutely.
Berta Puffs.
I have one of those little tables right next to me.
For the
Who-
record, I love Matlock and I will watch it if it's on.
Yeah, I was about to ask who watches Matlock.
I have.
I
My
have multiple.
grandparents watched it.
I watched Matlock
It's
way
a
back in the
good,
day.
it's one of the better lawyer shows.
It's a good lawyer show. Matlock's a good lawyer show.
Yeah.
I kind of want to watch some more reruns of Matlock.
Ooh, that would be fun.
I have the DVDs of his first like 3 seasons that I couldn't find. FYI, I don't know who has this experience, but the the gravestone of someone you love is one of the hardest things to do. I completely understand what Emily's.
Yes, and we keep on trying to get my brother's fixed because it's chipped.
And
Ah, yes!
look who it is!
Oh,
Look at that.
Look at him.
he's he's a little swole.
Oh, he
He's
looks
definitely
good.
Yeah, he is buff
looking
now.
great.
Ow, ow, ow.
He's been pumping some iron, that one.
I think
And
that
this is why I wanted up for this episode.
Same here.
Yep,
so
also same.
where's Dean? I want to
I
see.
bet you Tasha was saying the same thing.
Yeah, she was looking forward to it. She just didn't get up on the couch.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, he grew up good.
Yes, he
I'm
did.
calm.
Jack
Yes.
So
did.
good.
Jack did.
Who wants to make a bet that they hook up?
I was just thinking that when I saw his face and her there, and
John,
he's
don't
married. Or
use the word bet and me.
Jen, Jen,
I
do you wanna bet?
now I hope he works there. Isn't he a writer? I hope they all just work there together, bring in some Doyle, and build a spa at Lorelai's. That's what I want.
That would be nice.
Break up with someone.
Another good norepinephrine joke.
This does not sound like Rory. Come on.
Yes, it does.
People
She always makes
change.
terrible decisions.
They're bonding over her underwear, guys. Leave them alone.
Rory would let her license expire. Rory would be renewing it 6 months before the expiry date.
Yes.
Yeah, but she doesn't know what address to put.
I don't see how people still don't realize that Rory's a train wreck.
She's always been a train wreck.
Exactly.
Y'all are so mean to Rory.
I love her. She reminds me a lot of myself, but it's just the truth. She always has.
Listen to Jess, Rory.
Butt shot.
Listen to him. He's beautiful and perfect. The
Oh,
hat, though. The hat toss.
I love it.
I like their nice hug.
That's a very cute hug.
I love this.
That she's looking at microfiche.
Yes, look at what she's looking at.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, this is very cool.
Oh, I like where this is going.
But how
I
But they
love
weird that
my.
spelled
that was written
Lorelai's
about.
they spelled Lorelai's name wrong in the paper though.
They did.
Jess is always just the best for her.
Like when she was living with her grandparents and he said, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, that's when he was the best. Not in the beginning.
Ooh, ooh.
Emily doesn't have a jacket.
But she has a jack.
Hey.
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 Look at Emily's dress. Looks good.
Jen, you're unmuted, honey.
Um,
You're good. It was really reassuring because we're completely in sync, which was nice.
That's something you never see. Putting somebody on speaker in the original series.
She's a little too old for this. I don't want my mommy dating thing.
It's gotta be shocking, though. I would be shocked for my parents to.
It's very shocking. When my mom died, when my dad started dating, oh, ripped my heart out.
No, my sister and I literally, my mother used to joke around saying, you know, your next wife will do this. So literally, the night my mom passed away, we told Dad, when he's ready, we won't stand in his way.
Aw.
That's very sweet. I think you can be supportive and also shocked at the same time.
Emily could have
Yeah,
won.
oh, it was definitely shocking, but he's now with somebody for 19 years.
That's nice.
Emily would have expected.
Lorelai was shocked the last time Emily wanted to date too when they were separated. She's just gets shocked at the idea of her mother wanting to do something.
Look at the chalkboard on the refrigerator. You can barely see it, but it still has Richard's handwriting on it.
Aww.
Oh wow.
I think it says, Emily, I beg of you, cheese,
Yeah,
Richard.
yeah, something like that. Wants cheese. And I honestly think they should have had a man write that because it doesn't look like a man's handwriting, and Richard would have had a better handwriting.
Ouch.
George Bell.
Yep.
Is he Professor Bell here?
No, she said his name was Stanley.
He's a headstone
Okay.
maker now.
Funeral
Yeah.
director.
So he's been a security guard, Professor Bell, and now the headstone maker.
He has lots of passions in life.
Yeah. It's the same basic thing that
Or
they
he's
do
a
with Sean.
quadruplet.
In the show, didn't they talk about the mausoleum? Have they hoped that she would stay single so they could all fit there?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. What
Yes.
happened with that? This doesn't seem like the place.
That's definitely not a mausoleum.
That's a good point. I was expecting a whole family all together in a group.
A mausoleum is a big building where they stick them all together.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Uh-oh. 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 This is super interesting.
The Jess hate is so 2002, Lorelai. Get over it.
Yeah.
That was my favorite part in the episode.
Mine too.
This is
I
an
love
excellent
that.
part. Yep,
Yeah.
100% agree.
I love that whole exchange. I love, yeah, I love Rory's position. I love Lorelai's position. Just not that I like advocate for either one of them. I'm probably on Lorelai's side here, but it's such a great window into where Rory is. That scene, you know how desperate she is, especially given that she's found something that she thinks she's convinced is the right thing for her to be working on right now.
I think they're both right. Where they're both coming from, I don't think either of them are wrong in how they feel, which is nice. I love scenes where there's no wrong person.
I mean, I think that writing about her mother, I think, well, we'll talk about it after. Jason. He was a stand-in in our original series. Oh, whoa.
I love how all of the guests are like, okay, and we're leaving.
Brenda said the design that's on Lane's shirt, her grandson.
Ooh, that's cool.
Lipitor is a cholesterol
I was just
medication.
gonna say
I
Lipitor
know.
is for cholesterol.
I was trying to
Yup.
what's this stuff?
I've got some here if anybody needs.
That's a great line from Lane. I think that that's a joke, the Lipitor.
Yeah, it has to be.
I'm protecting you for some reason.
There you go.
How does he know what that is?
I
Because
mean, he's
Lipitor
an
is a
adult.
very well known medication.
Yeah, most adults know what it is.
I
Yep,
guess.
I was taken off of
Unfortunately,
it, but I do have plenty.
This whole story is just so disgusting. Just so disgusting.
Does that look like a green screen?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
yes.
I mean, he looks like a cutout on that one.
I think this is an amazing song and it makes me cry.
The it's the payoff for all the hate that the musical brings.
Yep.
It's so good.
Yeah, I love it.
You love this
She's
song?
such an amazing singer.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love this.
I'm I'm not crying. You're crying.
Oh my god.
Right.
I mean, the fact that like, yeah, we'll talk about the musical, all of the musical aspects of it
Yeah,
afterwards.
this
But
is the
I
last scene.
oh, I want to get married. Oh no, incorrect. Whoa, what? Oh no, she's gonna walk the that trail. Okay, all right, we got it.
That long pull away from him.
Ooh, that was quite interesting. That was quite interesting.
I
So yeah.
absolutely agree with Lorelai though. You're either a book person or a movie person when it comes to Wild.
Um, let's bring some folks up onto the couch. Again, we're going to be doing our reservation system, um, which I believe the system is still open. I think that people could technically still reserve a seat on the couch for post show if they wanted to.
Lee, I
Um,
love the new picture.
Oh, why, thank you.
all right, so I'm going to post show. So we have three folks that are on the list here. If you did not reserve for the post show, please drop yourself down to the audience. But if you did reserve for both shows and you're up here, then just stay. The three folks that I have for post show are Lindsay, Diana, and Tasha. So I'm opening up the couch now.
I think Tasha left, John.
Yeah,
Tasha left. She said that she couldn't do the post show.
she's
Oh,
gone.
okay. So Diana and Lindsay. Lindsay, are you still there?
I reserved for both, but I actually have to go, so I'm gonna jump down.
All right. Great. And Diana. Great. And if you want to come up onto the couch, just put in a reservation. Beth. Come on up, Beth. There we go.
Working on building stars.
Beth, were you into it?
No, it's
You're
so bad that it's funny.
I love
But
the
I'm gonna be
honesty.
singing that for like
okay.
months.
So I mean, it was long. I'll give you that. It was long. It was weird. I do think that it is like we have seen stuff like that in the past. It's just usually Lorelai has somebody to bounce off of. So the fact that she's just there, mouth agape, um, for me was the weirdest part of it. It's certainly long. I didn't dislike it. Like I had fun with the musical, but I will give everybody the point that it is bizarre that everyone likes it because it's meant to be terrible. And um and it's surprising that like the music store owner, you're right, would find that good. I mean, when it's so clearly meant to be terrible, and and then that like ending where everyone thinks that is bad. what she just sang, and of course that's the best part about it. But that's sort of, I think that was sort of the joke.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to show that like Lorelai's perspective on how she's like an island in this whole episode. Like
Yeah.
with the
Yes.
town, with Luke, with Rory, she's like she needs to like go find herself, and it brings you to that last scene of that
Exactly.
she's just it's her perspective on it. So maybe it really wasn't terrible. We're watching it through her eyes. And
Exactly.
she's just like not fitting into any part of her life right now.
In my mind, like when they were pitching that, like when they were talking about writing that scene, in my mind the writers were like, and it's gotta be terrible, like it's gotta be terrible. The audience has gotta feel what she feels. And I think in that way they kind of got that right, because that is sort of how everybody feels. Like, this is terrible. This is like a part of my life that I can't get back. And that's sort of how Lorelai's feeling, and it does make sense there at the end.
I agree. And then they balance out something terrible by putting like two of the most amazing Broadway actors you can to be like, all right, it's going to be terrible, but we're going to make it really good at the same time. But that's why it's so divisive, because people also don't want to be entertained with something that's terrible. So it's kind of like either you're going to love it or you hate it. And that's why, and some people have this, like, this feeds how they feel about the entire revival because of this being so divisive.
Because of this particular this particular
I think
scene
it
and
feeds
episode?
it. Well, it feeds it.
Yes,
It
it
feeds it.
does.
It
This,
feeds.
the Rory stuff,
Yes.
you know, it all feeds it. And a lot of that comes to a head in this episode. So
Right.
people like this particular episode is, and then the fat shaming, all of that is like a lot of what the hate people have about the revival in general. You could just watch this one episode and understand why.
Yeah.
I think it
The
comes
fat the
down
And
fat
to
then,
shame
and
the
then
fat
also,
shaming was lame. The fat shaming was lame. Mostly just it didn't really play that well. Like just it wasn't. I didn't really find it that funny. But um, I'm still in the group of folks, or I don't know how many of there are, how many of us there are, that I'm really, I mean, I'm really drawn into this story of Rory like completely lost and trying to find her way, and I especially love this whole thing about how she really, really wants to write this book, but her mother doesn't want her to, and she really wants to because it just there's something about it that feels right, that she would be so desperate to want to write something like that, even though I don't think it is her place to write a story about her mom. Like I think that Lorelai was right in that scene, that like that's my life. Don't like maybe you can write your part of it, but writing my part of it seems a little unfair. But I get Rory's how Rory feels like this is it. This is what I've got. This is all I've got. If I don't do this, then it's over. And I just really appreciate that in this story. I mean, we only have one more episode for things to turn around. I'm hoping that they do, but it's not looking hopeful.
I have a question for you, John, as a writer. Because working in publishing, like that kind of thing comes up a lot where it's like, well, who has the right to write what stories? And I kind of feel like I'm a little bit on Rory's side because it's her life. Like, even though the other people in her life, um, you know, may have feelings towards it, like she I think can write whatever she wants. So, like I guess it's the question. I like
I
that
do.
this episode brings up the question.
I definitely do believe that you should be able to write whatever you want. Like just from like a artistic standpoint, I don't think that there shouldn't be any restrictions to a writer on what they should write. Um, but I do think that there's an unspoken line that as an artist, you're crossing. And when you write about your family, I think that that's just a line that you have to be willing to cross, like for your art. I'm not saying she shouldn't write it, or that she's not allowed to write it. I'm just saying that, it is a sensitive thing, and she's sort of choosing her own desires over somebody who she cares a lot about, who doesn't want that. And that to me is the part that's a little weird. um but mostly because I feel like her need to write the book is not so much it's not so much inspired by some really like deep artistic need that's hit her. I think that it's a part of all of this, like, I'm falling, I'm falling, I'm falling. I need to stop myself. She gets told this idea by somebody who she really respects, somebody who did find themselves, and she's clinging to it. I don't even necessarily know if she's right, if that's actually what she should be writing. Um,
I
and
would
so I think,
disagree, John.
mhm.
Sorry, were you gonna say something else?
No, I just think I don't know. I don't know if that's what she should be writing. I just think that she's found it in this like very vulnerable place in her life, and so I'm not completely convinced that it's like the thing.
Yeah, I get that. I think I view it more as she's been floundering in what she wants to do. She doesn't really feel she fits at these new sites that are popping up, even though she always wanted to be a journalist. She's tried writing a book for someone. She's now heading the newspaper in Stars Hollow. She's kind of been floundering, trying to find, well, I'm a writer, I like to write, but none of these things that I'm writing feel right. And what she said to Lorelai and how she sat down and just the first 5 chapters just kind of poured out of her. Like I feel that was something clicking for her, that she is supposed to write about deeply personal things. So I would disagree that it's coming from a place of kind of more desperation and more of her finding something that finally clicked.
I think that the desperation, I think that you sort of see the desperation when she's sort of getting this, she's getting the sense that there might be a block, a wall being put up by her mom that might stop her from doing it. I think I think that sense of, I don't know. I mean, I can't really explain it. I get what you mean. She certainly is inspired. Um, Sometimes I think sometimes we are inspired when we're at our most vulnerable and scared. Um, but she is a sensitive person, and she's not being sensitive right now, um, to something that means a lot to her mother, and she's always cared so much about how her mother felt, and that fact alone tells me that she's put this sort of at the, like, in first priority because of how desperate she is to get out of the rut that she's in.
Well, but the other, so I totally see what you're saying. I think another way to look at it though is the series as a whole. Lorelai's decisions have been what impacts Rory's life. So like, like Rory didn't choose to go to Stars Hollow. Rory didn't choose the life that she lived because her mother made all those decisions. And I think that we've talked about how Rory has always been told she's the best at everything, and now she's flailing, big surprise. And it's kind of like, it's almost like a moment of taking it back, like taking back what might be rightfully hers, which is, the ability to make the decision and tell her own story. And so for that, like, I love the question that it brings up between the two of them about, like who can do what, and, what it means to both of them. But I think it's really interesting that, Rory's kind of been pulled along by Lorelai this whole time, which is why she's not really doing so well, because she was never really given the tools to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Like to really make some strong decisions about what to do, who she is. And that's been our frustration with Rory. So I kind of feel like this is a moment where she's like, no, I'm going to do this thing, and it's going to be my take on our story, whereas the whole series, we've been getting Lorelai. Like, we've talked about that, where the whole series is in Lorelai's point of view. So, like, everything that happens, we judge it from Lorelai's point of view specifically. And this is kind of a nice writer moment for the Paladinos to be like, maybe we should look at the story from Rory's point of view. What would that look like?
I also think that it's one of those things that, like Diana was saying, you can't really tell your story just from like the middle point of your life. Like
Yeah,
sometimes
of
you need to
course.
start from what
Of
came
course. Like,
before.
I mean, Lorelai is basically, by saying that, she's basically saying, don't write the book. Like, there's no way that Rory can write her side of a story without writing her mom in there. I mean, Lorelai is definitely putting her foot down and saying, I don't want you writing this thing that you really, really want to write. Um,
Which I find
but
odd because I find that I feel like Lorelai would have wanted to support her daughter and would been willing to, like, if she's really afraid that she'll be ridiculed or whatever, she would be willing to put up with that in the past. So I find that a little bit
um, I don't know why. I feel like, I, I, well, first of all, Lorelai is she is Lorelai. She is very much my way, right? Like, and it feels like that tracks with a character, like the idea that a character that her character would be like, no, that's my life. You know, don't write about my life. That's my life. That sort of that is the Lorelai I feel like I've met. I mean, I get that she really loves her daughter, but and that she does a lot for her daughter, but I feel like when it comes to her own life, she's very possessive over it.
Yeah, that
But I
sounds.
think if we look back at like the argument about the sweater or the father's golf things or the dollhouse, she's always relented in the end
Yeah,
to
well,
say, yeah.
we haven't seen the end. I mean, I feel relatively confident that she's going to relent on this as well. Uh, or Rory's going to decide that she doesn't want to write it anymore. Um, I mean, I I'm gonna be honest. I don't really love the idea of her writing that. Like, I think it's kind of a little bit of a. I think that there's a better writer in her than that to just write about her life. We've already watched her life. I see what you mean, Diana, that like, well, we haven't really seen it from her perspective. And I guess if I thought I was going to be getting that show, right, like that, like then I would, or even that book that I could read the whole everything that I've watched in Gilmore Girls, but now from her perspective. Um, I think that would be kind of interesting, but um, I don't know why, but it. I get that she's inspired. I do believe that inspiration does come very often does come when when artists are at their most vulnerable, and it can come in. You can be inspired to do any number of things. Inspiration isn't it doesn't inspiration isn't always linked to a thing, right? Like to a specific thing. Sometimes just inspiration strikes and you can just be inspired to do any number of weird things, and then like sometimes as an artist you like get out from that and you look back at the thing that you were so inspired to do, and it almost seems ridiculous, but when you're in it, when you're in that mode of inspiration, that thing that you're inspired to do just truly feels like it is the thing you were meant to do in this world. But I think that it's very often it often just comes from another place in the artist, and that vulnerable state, maybe it's the fight or flight that kind of kicks in for an artist, I don't know, but I've just found it to be true that like when I'm at my lowest as an artist, that's when I actually suddenly things start to be inspiring, and I find inspiration everywhere. But that doesn't necessarily mean that those things are like the thing I was meant to write. Um, and yeah, I don't know. For whatever reason, it's like I'm not crazy about the idea of her writing that. But it sounds like I'm in the minority.
I think it was Elle that said it on Discord, that earlier people were talking about, like, oh, Rory wouldn't do that, Rory wouldn't do that. But Rory's suffering from, like, gifted and talented burnout.
Yeah.
And the things she's doing are very real. And if it's one way she's coping with it of writing the book, I can see that happening.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I'm all for her writing something. I'm all for her getting out, finding her rut, and look, if this is what she's inspired to do, then I understand and feel for her that she's like, I'm inspired right now. I need to use this. Like I haven't been inspired the way that I have been, and this is what I got inspired to do. So I don't want to lose this inspiration. Um, but on the flip side of it, it's like it is writing about family, and that family member is not comfortable with that, and that family member is somebody who I've gotten to know to be quite a possessive person over her life, I guess is the best way that I can put it. She's very much Lorelai's way is Lorelai's way, and so the idea that somebody would be like, I'm going to write about
I agree.
I think
It
Emily
makes it.
Sense.
also being written about too. Like she would need to give permission as well because she's heavily involved with the whole family. I don't think she would like to have a book written about her.
Who?
Emily, the grandmother.
Oh, right, Emily. Yeah, sure, yeah. Same reason.
Same reason, but also Rory would have, of course, Rory would have a gentler version of Emily in the book. So I don't think Emily would get too overly upset.
Sometimes Rory, though, just goes over people's feelings, even when she was writing about that party that, Logan's family was at, things like that. Even if they're close to her, she seems to be very insulting or just blunt, I guess. It seems
Yeah.
like she's hurting people's feelings
I get
quickly.
that, but I don't think she would be like that towards Emily at all.
I don't think she'd be consciously aware of it, but she probably, knowing her history of her writing, I think she would have kind of that angle
I
no
mean,
matter.
Especially if she talks about when she was living with her.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
times
definitely
where
some feelings, and knows about Emily's flaws. So I just can't imagine Rory writing a real sweet piece about really anyone.
I just also think that, like, I also think that Lorelai knows that about Rory. Like, I think that Lorelai understands the daughter that she raised. We saw like Lorelai's reaction when she found out like how Rory wrote about that dancer. She was like, "Oh yikes!" Like,
Right.
I mean, I know that you and I kind of snark like that behind the scenes, but I didn't realize that I like put that into you to like write that publicly. So that's got to be going through Lorelai's head right now. Like I know my daughter's a great writer, but like I know how she can write about people, and my life is colorful, and our lives have been colorful. Like, what is she going to write about me? Like,
Yeah, she's gonna put like
and
fat pat back whatever joke in there too. She's putting all those little details every time they make
Back
fun of other.
fat Pat.
Yeah,
And it drives me nuts when people say that it's so out of character for them to do jokes like that. I'm like, no, it's not. They constantly made jokes about people's weight being prettier than
oh
others.
yeah,
It's
I don't think
completely
anybody.
in character.
I
It's
don't think
cringy,
anybody's
but very in
necessarily
character.
arguing. Yeah, I don't think anybody's arguing that they
yeah.
didn't do that in the original show. I think that it's just
There are
like
plenty of
that.
people
There's.
who have said to me that
Oh,
it's
really?
not, it's so out of character for them.
Well, I think that maybe what's odd about it is that like we watched the original show, and there's plenty of fat shaming in the original show, but that we all say like oh man, like like that wouldn't fly today. And then the revival comes, like not exactly today, but relatively soon, and then there's a joke in there like that.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
we'll say it didn't age well, but then they went ahead and did it again, and it's like, oh God, don't
Right.
go there. It was so unnecessary.
yeah, there was no adjustment to the time it was being released in. It was very much as if it was still being written in the early 2000s.
Right.
I gotta say, John, you made me think of something when you were saying that Lorelai knows how Rory writes. It made me flash to what if Lorelai is starting to feel like she's being attacked from both sides in the sense that she knows how Emily views her relationship and her life. Like, Emily was still criticizing her about how Luke doesn't communicate with her in this episode. So she's going to be getting criticism from the generation before her. And if her daughter's writing, and what if her daughter's criticizing her as the generation after her, then is Lorelai the failure from both ends? And that just kind of flashed in my head when you were talking about like she knows how Rory will view her. Is she worried that Rory will be just as critical as Emily?
Sorry, I was like I was responding to you while you were speaking, not realizing my mic was off. But that's good because I would have been interrupting you, which is not cool. But yes, like absolutely, there's no question about that. Like that has to be what's going on in Lorelai's mind. I mean, the more we talk about it, the more this episode like makes a lot of sense to me. I get why people don't like it.
If we just
but it
took the
makes sense to me.
musical out, it would be a perfect episode.
I don't mind that
Yes.
musical.
Just
I don't
take it
mind it
out.
Oh,
because
good
it is
stuff.
grueling. It is grueling, but that is, I think, a part of what we're supposed to experience.
But
Pain.
it's too
It gets
long, and
a
there's so much
few times.
more I would have wanted to see that I
Yeah,
didn't have
it is
time
too.
for.
It is very, very. It is very, very long, and I had heard that. That there was potentially a band storyline that had to be cut from their plans, or maybe even from the script itself.
Okay.
And so to see something very long take up maybe a spot that could have been the band, that's a little bit of a bummer. But
That's
I
actually. Sorry, go on, John.
I don't know if it would have been in this episode though. Like, I mean, I don't know. I know that it was for budget, for budget. There was also something else, that there was another big thing, a big storyline from the original series that they really wanted to do, that I heard they also had to cut. It was for budget reasons. I mean, as much as we joke about I mean, they had a budget, and they weren't able to go over it. So,
And they spent a
but
lot of it on Waterloo. That's the problem. That's the complete and utter sin of it, is that they lost, like, they could make the episodes as long as they wanted because it was Netflix, and all four of them are different
right.
lengths.
But how
But
do you
the
but how do you
song,
but yeah, I know, but like that whole music. I mean, just sort of getting to like, if what you're suggesting is like, oh, we could have had these other things that would have been more in line with the original series, and instead we got this, and it would have been great if, like, we had gotten the band, or we had got. But from their perspective, I mean, they're not writing a show about the band. They're writing about this uh about this whole thing that's going on with Rory and Lorelai. And so I guess if I had to sort of figure out, like, what happened, why they chose to go that route, then, like, say the band, I think the answer is just quite simply that wouldn't have tracked as well, or that wouldn't have worked as well with a narrative arc that they were trying to do, with Lorelai and Rory. And so they came up with this idea for a musical, and it kind of worked with, like, where's Lorelai, like, as Andrea just mentioned, feeling like she's this island. I felt that worked. Elle, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to
Yeah.
say for everybody to harvest.
I wanted to say that, well, it doesn't take a lot to figure out why Sutton Foster was included. I mean, for one, she had been in Bunheads, so another Palladino show, but also because, like, the Palladinos were really obsessed with Sutton Foster. There's an interview they did back in like 2014 where they talk about how, like, they basically stalked her at some point, and they funded her a production that she wanted to do on Broadway, which was called Violet. Notice her character in this episode is called Violet.
Hmm.
So, like, it's very, I felt like when I watched it, like, as someone who watched originally, I was annoyed that it took so much time, because these are two characters. Yes, I love them both. I'm a big Broadway fan. I love both of them. It's great. But it went on so long for the show. And so I felt like we did lose from, like, the characters we had known before. And we'd been waiting like 10 years to see what those characters were up to. And instead we get this huge musical moment that really seemed more to service the Palladinos instead of the fans.
agree. Like,
So that's kind of where,
Well,
like, why I dislike it
that
so
does make
much.
sense. That does make sense. I think, though, that I'm just suggesting that we give it a little bit more credit for also serving the plot. Because sometimes the flip side to that argument is, see we see revivals of shows serving the fans all the time, and that tends to actually feel like fan fiction. Like, what in the world? Like, how this doesn't feel like the original. This feels like somebody who's writing fan fiction had to put in all of the characters. And the fact that this is so completely new, brand spanking new, um, you're right. It means that they aren't really serving the fans, and I kind of appreciate that from the standpoint of I think that it does serve the narrative. But I will give you, I do also think, yes, it is probably serving the Paladinos. They are clearly into that kind of stuff. And we're like, that's what we want to do. But didn't we, don't we always sort of praise them for doing that? Like, hasn't that been kind of a theme to why the original series was so great? It was like Amy's just kind of like, I'm gonna just do what I wanted. Like I find that joke funny. I don't care if people don't know what that is. Like that's going in there. Like, isn't that kind of part of the appeal of the series that the
They fought
Paladinos
the
sort of?
studio, not the fans.
What's up?
They did that against the studio, not against the fans, I think is the
Yeah, I
difference.
don't think they were fighting against the fans. I don't know, Kathy Ann.
When I first watched with the musical, at first I found it pretty boring, but the more I thought about it was when we were watching the original 7 seasons, how many times was there an episode focused on something that was going on in the town, like a festival or something? And that pretty much made up for whatever festival would have been happening, and it was exactly Taylor.
This is totally in character for Taylor. I
Oh yeah.
mean, he did crazy crap like this all the time. And I love it, but
I, I think that
I,
the only thing is that it would have been, I think it would have been more familiar to us if the writing had broken the scene up a little bit and we had like we had left it. The fact that it was just one long thing for a very long time. If you compare that to the original series and you look at like old town episodes where like the town was doing something huge like the dance-a-thon or whatnot, the actual scenes, regarding those like dance-a-thons and tisket a tasket auctions, they were actually more dynamic because they broke it up a little bit. Whereas this felt so long because we really were stuck in that theater for the entire duration of that musical from beginning to end.
I I think that was done on purpose. I think they
Oh,
knew
I agree.
it
I
would.
think so too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
I
kind of think they wanted people to hate it, but then there's weirdos like me that love it.
But I
So it
but
didn't
I
work
think that
for
that's
I'm a
me.
probably what
weirdo too, though, Kendra.
I think that that's probably what you're referring to when you say against the fans, because if they are sort of saying fans, we're gonna torture you right now. I guess that we're gonna torture you because that's what the plot needs. That might feel a little bit like, you know unless what you're saying is they gave us that instead of giving us what we really wanted, which was more of the original series, big plot lines that brought us back to that. And I would just say, as devil's advocate, that we do see that a lot from creators doing revivals, and it almost always feels like fan fiction.
I'll just
Lee,
hop. Hi.
hi,
I was.
Lee. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing great. I'm sure you're doing really good because Jess was in this episode.
Oh, and didn't he look so good? Didn't he just look
He
fantastic,
looked
guys?
swole. He looked
Oh, his
really. He looked
arms.
really. He
Oh,
looked really beefy. That. I don't know how I
he's
felt
lifting
about
lots
that.
of
I mean,
books.
like I'm not really judging him from that standpoint, but he did look big. He looked like he had been working out a lot,
I
and I don't know if that's really the Jess that my favorite Jess is Truncheon Book's Jess from season 6.
but he still has his own book press, his own
Yeah, I
book.
know, I know. He just wasn't. He just clearly wasn't using creatine at that point.
Yeah, he still he still had a few years to gain. I was
I'm
gonna
so
hop in. I do have
sorry.
some stuff to say about Jess, but I just want to touch on the musical very quickly because I think it's something over the years that I've found a lot of people have in common between who does like it and who doesn't, is whether or not you watched Amy's other projects. I personally didn't. I have no idea who Sutton is. I had not seen her in anything before or after this. So to me, she was just a random actress. But a lot of people were excited to see her because she was from Amy's other projects. And I find a lot of overlap in people who enjoy it because they can enjoy the long 20 minutes of watching her because they like her. But to me, it was just random people performing a random musical.
Yeah.
And it dragged because I had no investment. But a lot of
I'm gonna
people who do enjoy it know Sutton.
I'm gonna reveal something as well. I don't know Sutton. I don't know Sutton at all.
You
All I
don't?
know is the name. That's all I know is the name, and I've heard people, oh my gosh, Sutton is in it. Sutton Foster. Oh, Sutton. You know, I don't. I've never watched
She's
Bunheads.
amazing.
Well,
I've never watched Bunheads, and I'm not like I mean I'm not like heavy musical theater nerd. I mean, I like musicals, don't get me wrong, but if she's also like a big musical theater person, then that I wouldn't know her from that. And I don't know any other shows that she was on. So I only know the name Sutton Foster from the Amy Sherman Palladino universe of like, yes, this is a name that I've heard exists in the Amy Sherman Palladino universe. This is really the first time that I've actually seen her perform, the first time ever. So I'm kind of in the same boat that you were in, Lee, where I was just sort of seeing random people doing their thing. And
Are wrong
I
and
actually
enjoy it.
I it wasn't I didn't hate it. I think I'm more in Kendra's uh Kendra's camp here, where I found it so weird, got that we were supposed to hate it, kind of put myself into Lorelai, and enjoyed that. Probably would have liked for it to have been a little bit more dynamic than it was, but you know, like would have liked the scenes. Like I would have liked for them to leave and go somewhere else for a little bit, then come back and it's like, oh wow, this is still going on.
Yeah, I
Nancy,
would have appreciated that
Yeah,
too,
I
personally.
think maybe I too did not know Sutton before I watched the revival first, and then I watched Bunheads, and then I liked Sutton. But so when I first watched it, I was like, "What the heck?" And maybe would we have liked the musical more if the Stars Hollow Townies had been part of it
but like
instead of?
who?
Yeah, I think that
But
would have
like
been more
who?
entertaining.
I think that it would have been more entertaining if like Kirk was in it for
Yeah, I
sure.
was gonna
Yes.
say, I think
Kirk or
Kirk should be in
Patty.
it.
Like I think if Kirk and Miss Patty had been in it, I actually think that probably it would. If Kirk and Mrs. Patty had been in it and it had been shot exactly the same and it was as long and we didn't cut to other things, I think that it would have a very different reception
And
from the fandom than this had.
and it,
And I just question like why like
and it's interesting that Kirk and Miss Patty were not in any of those scenes.
Yeah, I was
yeah.
just fixing to say, like, where the hell was Kirk? That's the only thing that felt
Maybe they
weird
Yes,
couldn't
about
get
this.
yes.
either one of them that for that
Yeah.
episode.
Do you know if Kirk's in tomorrow's episode?
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
He
Yeah.
is. He is.
absolutely.
Oh, well that's good to know. Given the fact that Sean is going to be joining us tomorrow.
Yes!
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Is there anything else that we want to talk about in terms of this episode?
Yes.
Oh, give it.
I want to talk about one of my favorite all-time Gilmore Girls parallels, kind of callbacks from the entire series and A Year in the Life. My favorite connection is how Rory inspired Jess to write his first book, and now Jess has inspired Rory to write her first book. I think it's absolutely
Oh, and that's a
beautiful.
Yep.
part, and I think that that's part of why you're really hip on the idea of her writing this book, because that is largely a big part of that. Like if that unwinds, that kind of what you're loving about right now kind of unwinds as well.
Oh, it definitely plays a part. But like I did say during the episode, I don't think either of them are wrong. I don't think Lorelai's wrong to not want her to do it, and I don't think
Yeah.
Rory's wrong to want to do it. But yeah, I think it's really beautiful for that these two people who've kind of been like ships in the night with each other their whole lives have still played such a big part in inspiring each other and helping each other find their way in life. I just think it's really beautiful. And I seeing Jess with Luke was just the cutest darn
That
thing
was
ever.
adorable. Oh my gosh, that was absolutely adorable.
I'm so glad they've maintained the relationship. It makes me
And I'm
very, very
and I'm
happy.
kind of and I'm kind of half joking with Jess. I it was absolutely a pleasure to see that character again. Um, I you know I've I was pretty open that I was not a huge Jess fan, but he won me over in the end. And this episode particularly reminded me how much Kathy Ann's gonna cringe about what I'm about to say.
Oh no.
That I just don't think that Logan and Rory are a good fit
Yeah.
at this point.
Yes.
As
And
much
I
as
since
think
I
him
love
being
Logan
engaged and
Logan was
all.
good for her earlier, but I would agree that in the revival, I think Jess.
And then
And that's
and
my
then I saw
feeling.
Jess and then I saw Jess and just how much he's grown. Um, his body is also grown a little bit.
Dirty.
I jest. This is a totally in jest. If Milo, if you ever hear this, this is just a joke.
Uh-huh.
Dirty.
But he was walking out. He was walking out the door. He was walking out the door even before he got to the moment with Luke out there. I was already thinking like, oh, was I wrong? Is that the one? Is he the one like
He
that
is.
she really should have been with? Like it was just this really like little moment where I was like, did I totally get that wrong? Like, did I hate on the character that actually was the best one for her?
One of us. One of us.
It was a very small moment. I'm sure that Mary is probably rolling her eyes a little.
Tell me someone's still recording. I need evidence of this.
Hunter just wrote me a back channel just with yes.
Yes.
I am still recording.
Yes. Thank God.
You are still recording what?
What
This
we're saying.
discussion.
The
This
root.
discussion.
You
We
want it
have proof.
you want it on the record that John Cabrera has officially admitted that maybe the character he absolutely could not stand for Rory could potentially, maybe, possibly, tiny
Oh,
baby bit
please.
have been the one. I don't know.
Is
Listen,
it
that's
his character
It's a
or his
lot of fun. It's a
biceps,
lot.
John?
I mean, he's ripped.
I
Well, I
know
don't know if
I
I'd say
Samantha's
mean,
ripped. I don't know
flashing.
if I'd say
this is
ripped.
us.
He definitely looks like he could bench press me very easily.
Ooh,
But
John.
Oh yeah.
that's actually not not really a huge challenge. I'm not the I'm like a piece way about like a piece of paper.
I'm just going to say one thing, and then I know Samantha's been flashing very quickly. I just wanted to point out, I think a big part of what gave you that feeling, John, is seeing just how much ease they have with each other. The fact that, like, they said they haven't seen each other in 4 years, but they've stayed in contact and they just slip back into this very natural banter, kind of reassuring each other and, like, kind of encouraging each other. It's just, yeah, I think that it's very hard to look at them having so much ease and comfort with each other with all the other things going on in her life and be like, huh, like if you couldn't look at that and be like, maybe that would be good for her, then I think you're a little bit unhinged. But yeah, I'll pass it over to Samantha.
I was thinking, yeah, a question for all the room. Do you think that if Rory, at this point in the revival, had a time machine, if she would have said yes to Logan's proposal back in the day?
Oh, that's a good question.
Whoa,
No.
Samantha, that's like a but like that's gonna break my brain.
I've considered this many times. No.
Oh, that was
I
a
don't
decisive answer.
I don't think she was ready, and that's why she said no. And I don't think anything could change her mind because at that time, that was the perfect answer.
And now?
I think even if she could go back, she knew that it wasn't for her at that point, and she wouldn't do it.
Want to be with Logan now? Does she
Does she
want?
want to be
Does
with
she
him
want
now?
to be married to him now, or does she
I don't
want
think
to? Does she want to be? Does she want to replace Odette?
Would she take back
I,
her no?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
if
Yeah.
he were to ask her now, at this
Yeah.
point,
Yes.
no,
No. Yeah, I think you're
because
right about that.
she can, like, she sees he's with somebody else and he's basically hiding her in a corner, which she put herself in that situation. And I agree, at this point in time her and Logan do not belong together. But going off of what Lee said about Jess, they've been apart, they've, kept little contact, haven't seen each other, her and Jess, but I think that her and Jess are meant to be best friends because that's what best friends do. You don't have to talk every day, but you fall back into place when you are together.
Yeah.
Did you just friend zone my ultimate soulmate
I most
pairing?
definitely did. He's too good for her at this point.
He
I
he.
agree, though. I agree with that.
Yeah, but I mean, but they're not friend. They're not friend zone. They are. There is definitely a chemistry between those two. There's no question. It's still there. You can feel it.
Are you still thinking they might hook up, John?
I do. I think they're gonna hook up. I also don't think that we're gonna see Dean. I'm starting to feel like that. I'm starting to feel like maybe they didn't get he wasn't available
He's
or
busy
something.
slaying
Do you,
demons.
do you want to put corners on that, John?
Okay. Kristen's like, oh, I might be able to make some kernels here.
I have to game the system some way, huh?
Well, you could put them on both whether or not Dean's going to be there or whether or not Jessa and Rory get back together.
I still actually
I
might
think
owe
that
you
Rory.
some
I think that
kernels,
Rory
John.
and I think that Rory and Jess are going to hook up. I think they're going to hook up.
Will it be Netflix graphic or are they gonna PG it?
I think that they're gonna. I think that they're gonna PG it, and I guess that probably means that, like, the fact that you're asking me whether they're going to PG it or not tells me that it's reaffirms that it's going to happen, and actually now tells me that it's probably going to be more than just hooking up. They're
John, do
they're
you
going to
think I
probably.
would spoil you? I only ever speak to what's happening right now. I wouldn't do that to you.
I'm now thinking that they are going to they're going to do the nasty.
I agree. That's what I think now.
I'm now believing that the nasty is that we've got nasty in store.
Now more
Um,
because that
so that means that we already had that with Logan, and now I think we're gonna get it with Jess, and it means that poor Dean is
Mary said that she would like that bet.
that what?
Mary says that she would like that bet.
Mary said that she would like the bet that her and Jess are going to get jiggy.
Finally consummate their relationship.
Finally consummate their. Oh, they haven't. That's right. They haven't
Nope.
consummated
It's
yet,
been
have
like
they?
Nope.
15 years in
Oh,
the making.
remember
oh. Okay. Well, then
Dean
it's.
fight.
Oh, well, then it's definitely going to happen because they need to give that to the fans.
Okay, so Mary said she's sorry she can't talk right now, but more than that, them being together, how much money?
Them being
Or
together, them hooking up. All it has to be is in some way, shape, or form, they are romantically intertwined, if even if for a half hour in an elevator.
Ooh, an
It can be
elevator.
it can be anything that is them not just in the friend zone.
She said she meant relationship, but sure.
She meant relationship. Well, I don't think we have enough. I don't think we have enough time for a relationship. I think that they're gonna hook up. I think they're gonna hook up, and that probably means that they're gonna have sex. Jen, you're with me on this, right?
I see it. I see at least that, and whether or not they stay together. I mean, maybe the show will just leave us in the dark about it, like they did with the season with Lorelai and Luke. Like, oh, they're together. Whether or not they get married, that's okay, but they're together in a way. I could see that. I want that. So I'm.
Well, I'll take that bet, Mary. Here's why I feel like it's a pretty strong bet, and that why I think that I have a good shot of winning this bet is I know the last four words of the series, and so as of right now, um, as of right now, those last four words apply to Logan and a Wookiee.
And
And
how long has
so,
it
What?
been since? So we're in summer now. This spans a whole year.
oh well,
Right.
it could possibly,
And the
yeah, it could possibly be other people as well who we haven't
right.
met.
Well,
It's
the
definitely
Wookiee
not
was in
Paul.
spring,
It's definitely not Paul. That's for sure.
The Wookiee was in early spring.
early spring. So if you think about it, from early spring to late fall is 6 months.
Guys,
Is six
don't
months.
spoil Jan though.
No, no, I'm not. Well,
Samantha's
no, I'm
like,
not.
guys,
I'm
guys,
definitely not.
guys. Okay. Now I'm starting to think that in the next episode we're going to see a little bit of a baby bump, and we're going to know that a Wookiee's on the way.
What?
Robert's the Wookiee.
Oh God.
By the way, Mary said she's in how much?
um, I'm going to be conservative on this one. Man, Mary does not. I don't think because Mary's been doing a lot of Memento, so I think that Mary is actually a little broke these days. So the fact that she's taking this bet is kind of scaring me.
I'll take it too. John has that.
Oh no! Oh no!
I'll take it 3.
Well,
Me
John,
four.
I depending on what happens
I'm gonna
tomorrow, I
take it
might
with
owe
me.
you.
I'm gonna take the bet with Mary. I'm gonna take the bet with Mary. I have a feeling now that Mary is going to get some kernels out of me. I'm gonna do 100 kernels. I'm gonna do 100 kernels. I still think I could be right that 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 Rory and Jess will hook up in some way, shape, or form, and and if I'm wrong, if they don't hook up in any way, shape, or form, if they don't if it's not alluded to the fact that they like it doesn't have we don't have to see it on screen, like if like they like close the curtain, and we know, oh, those two are gonna now get it on. I win. It's got to be very clearly like, okay, these two are getting together. I will win 100 kernels from Mary. If that does not happen in the entire episode tomorrow, Mary, you're 100 kernels richer.
And
She said
John,
done
I'm
with a
sorry, go on.
handshake emoji. She said done with a handshake emoji.
Mary's like, oh my goodness, with parsing the rules. um, and she said, and she also gave me the done. We've done a full handshake on it. I feel pretty I feel pretty good about the fact that Mary's probably going to win. And I'm going to probably have, but you never know.
Didn't
Uh,
walk into Rory's Gazette office just to see her. I mean, Luke was outside. He's like, I'm gonna go in here and talk to her. Like he sought her out. I think there's
Absolutely.
something there. I don't know. I don't know if he's got some family back wherever, but it seems like he's pursuing.
here's the bet that I'm not going to take. I'm not taking a bet with anybody who tries to bet me that Rory and Dean are going to get back together. That bet I will not take.
The
But I
silence is
mean,
deafening.
how sad,
What
how sad that
what about
Dean really
Rory and
started.
Tucker?
All right, everybody, I'm actually gonna head out.
Hey, stop the
Um,
Remarkist app, the timer.
okay, yeah, yeah,
John, I'm
that's
so
really
sad.
that's really bugging everybody.
I missed
Nope,
you
just
seeing the
me.
musical. What was your take on the
Just
musical before you leave? I'm so sad that I missed it.
my take on the musical was that I thought it was really weird. I actually kind of enjoyed it for its musical weirdness. I totally understood the concept of being like put into Lorelai's shoes of, oh my god, get me out of here, this is awful. I think that it tracked for the episode because it sort of gave Lorelai this like feeling of being on an island, like, throughout the episode, which then made a lot of sense at the end with the ballad that Sutton is singing there, and then deciding to go on this trip, on this like backpacking thing. That just all, I think that the musical helped that for me. Um,
Did
but I
you
get I
agree
get
with
I
me
get why
though,
people didn't
John,
like
that it
it.
was a beautiful song?
What's up?
Did you agree with me that that was such a
Yeah,
beautiful
that
song?
was a beautiful song, beautifully sung. It was nice. Hold on one second. Let me just stop this timer, because it's 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 doing what it's doing. Aaron's like, yes. It stopped. The timer is stopped. Should be stopped, right? Is it stopped? Aaron, can you check to see if it stopped?
I'm looking. It is not stopped on mine.
It looks stopped for me, but I don't know.
Are you
Probably
in
just my
are
app.
you in are you in A Year in the Life summer?
I am. Yep.
Wow, weird. That might be just a weird little
Yeah,
bug,
it's
but
weird.
um I'm gonna head out at this point. Anybody? I've been letting some folks up onto the couch here at the end, even though they haven't reserved, or maybe they did, but I didn't charge them because it's too late in the episode. But at this point, you can let anybody up on the couch and continue the conversation about the third revival episode, Summer, which was, I wouldn't certainly say it was my favorite, but it had some interesting things in it. And I'm sort of in, like I said, I'm sort of with Kendra that musical was super weird, and the voices were good, so I think I kind of enjoyed it. I think. Tiffany, was that the response well, better than that? Does that response align with your opinion of the musical?
Okay, my opinion is I didn't hate it as much as everybody else did. I thought it was just a little bit too long, and I think that's my only thing. But I think it's funny how strongly people feel about it. So
Yeah,
I
I'm
was
not
like,
in that camp. I'm certainly not in that. But I will say this: that the long thing, I think it's less about it being long, and more about it not being cut up. The fact that we sit there in that scene watching that the entire time, and we didn't cut to another character somewhere else, like Rory or somebody else like doing something, that seems out of the style of the original series, because it's not like the original series didn't have big town things that lasted for a very long time. They just cut it with other things that were happening at the same time during the series, and during the episode, and with the musical they didn't, so it felt really long because you were just in that one scene for a very, very, very long time.
I have one question about the musical. Did it happen in the middle of the 90-minute episode? Like right in the smack dab middle? Does anyone remember?
I don't remember. Do you remember?
Um, well, if it happened in the middle, like right smack dab in the middle of the episode, I would probably think that people would probably feel like it's long and like worn out, because whenever I watch the revival, whenever it hits the 45-minute mark, my brain immediately gets uninterested with the episode. I'm like, okay, this is too long. And then I got to get, like, I have to mentally get myself back into it in
Oh,
like
right.
5-10 minutes later. Cause I'm used to the 40
Yeah,
to 45-minute format of Gilmore Girls.
I agree. I agree. I mean, that's sort of one of my biggest, that's one of my biggest things about the revival that throws me a little is that I just think from a, just sort of a writing structural perspective, we've gotten to know these characters within a specific pacing, like incremental pacing, and that and that's just so different here that it sort of throws you off. And it's true, like I think I did sort of like at the 45-minute mark, I did sort of instinctively feel like it was going to be over, and then was like, "Oh, it's not over." Oh, right, right.
It's right at the 40-minute mark.
Yeah, there
Well,
you go. That's basically the middle of the episode. Yeah.
and there it
Wow.
is. So then, like, it would be a lot easier to notice like how long or drawn out the musical is, and like what you said too as well factors into it is also that we're not used to just sitting there and watching like the small town characters doing all the stuff. We're so used to like seeing Lorelai or Rory or Emily doing something in the middle of all that. So like that also factored into like it going on right in the middle, like smack dab in the middle of this 90-minute long episode.
Yeah.
That would definitely add to the disdain of the musical.
Yeah. 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 Um, it's interesting. I if I had my wish, it would be that this was eight, the revival was 8 45-minute episodes. That would be my preference.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
I think that it would have just given it a pacing that would have been more familiar that we would have been more familiar with. And I think even just that small bit would have felt more like the fans were getting that they were getting their original series back again. Whereas here, it's very clear. It's like this is the world. This is the narrative landscape of Gilmore Girls. These are your characters because they live in that world. But this is a different series, and I think that fans didn't want a different series.
Yeah.
But, I mean, again, that goes to the argument of like, should you be writing to what the fans want, or should you just be writing what inspires you? And this is what inspired them, I guess. I also think that probably the four episodes, winter, spring, summer, fall, a year in the life. It's a really good pitch. I could see that really helping them when they went to sell this, when they went in to pitch Netflix, because they had to, the steps to getting it to getting it made weren't actually that easy. They had to go to Warner Brothers first, convince Warner Brothers. They had to then, with Warner Brothers, go and find the network for it, which might not have even been Netflix at the beginning. It was maybe just like, well, let's go see who would want this, and then you've got to get actors on board and all that. That requires money. So that means you need a certain budget, So it's a lot of jumping of hoops. And it's very possible that coming in with a really high concept like that, something that just feels different, like that really just like wows the buyers in the room, was potentially a part of. I mean, I'm throwing this out hypothetically. Could have potentially been a part of why they chose to do that. That they thought this is a really cool, clever idea, and people are going to find that cool and clever in the room. Not necessarily fans, but like buyers who might be willing to give us the money to actually do it. They're going to find that really interesting. And for a company like Netflix, that would be very appealing. The idea of like doing something that isn't just a rehash or a eighth season uh of the original series, to come in and pitch them like, we're going to be doing something totally new that's going to be totally for you. It's not the old thing that you're just like now just giving us the money for. This is going to be yours. It's going to be your thing. That could be very appealing to a buyer.
I will say to that, as much as I also find some issues with the timing fitting with Gilmore Girls, I think the idea of 4 movie-length episodes based on seasons of a year, it is a really good idea.
It's a sticky
Like, it's a
idea.
great
That's what I
idea.
mean. That's what I mean when I say like it. When I first heard that, I was like, "Oh, that's clever. That's really cool." And sometimes that's so important. You know, the industry is such like it's such a noisy industry. There's so much content that's being sold that sometimes you need a concept that's just louder than everything else. Even if you had a hit show, like because lots of hit shows are trying to get revivals and also, you know, networks are not always wanting to just do a revival of things. They want their own original thing that can, you know, sort of define they want their Stranger Things. They want something that's going to, you know, define them, not like, you know, some old content from a decade ago. You know, obviously they recognize the value of it, but if you can walk in and give them something that's sort of a best of both worlds, like that's appealing.
I'm
Again,
very
I don't know if
excited to
that's
get
what
to
happened.
Stranger
I don't know if
Things.
that's what happened, but it's certainly food for thought, and it's definitely you know, there's no doubt whether it was, you know, whether the end result was, you know, something that worked for the fans of the original series or not. There's no denying that that is a very interesting concept. A year in the life.
You know
Winter,
what?
spring, summer, fall.
Oh yeah, the
Netflix can.
series cool.
Mm,
Mm-hmm. You know what? Netflix can just deal with what they get, which it seems like that's what's going on. But I will say that with the revival, it happening and stuff, it did help me stop watching Gilmore Girls over and over. So I think that's a huge plus.
yeah. All right, I'm actually heading out. Thank you, everybody, once again for another great episode and lively discussion. I am going to do some things around the house, which might involve me trying to get this memento, if it's not already gotten.
Well, thank you as always for doing this.
Yes, thank
This is a good one.
Yes,
Thank you.
this was fun. All
Thanks,
right, everybody.
Jen.
I'll see you tomorrow,
See you tomorrow, everyone.
and like I said, Sean will be here with us tomorrow. Carl, you may not have heard that. There is a reservation wall. You will need to pay kernels to be on the couch tomorrow. However, the wall is very low. I think it's like 25 kernels. I mean, it's
25
really
kernels in this economy.
goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.